everybody, it's me, Laura, and today we are going to talk about the Desk Maid Stadium Organizers. Yep, these things are so cool. I really love them. 4-level and 6-level organizers that for me, I fell in love with over Christmas. I wanted to change up my station area so that it would not only look nicer, but give me a more efficient way of reaching for the tools and materials that I enjoy every day in polymer clay. So let's get started and see what these things can do. These are so cool. This is the 4-level one. I absolutely love it. It is so cool. You can tell on the back there it has a couple of things where you can hang it up on a wall if you want, but I thought I'm just going to place this down on my desk surface. It's about a 2-inch depth area in all 4 of the little notches, if you will, or the levels. So about a 2-inch depth kind of in each one of those. And I found, look at this, my containers, look at that, goes right into that, perfect, just fits wonderfully. I have a votive here. This is kind of like a vase for like a flower. It's about a 1.5 to 2 inch, fits great. And then I could take my acrylic roller and guess what? Put that right on the top. It is wonderful. Now I tried placing another one beside it, but it just didn't quite work. So I got myself some more of these little shot glasses. They're tall shot glasses, but they've got a little bit of glass on the bottom, and they do great for like right here, my knitting needles. And then I thought I'm going to put a few more in and see what I can do with those. So placed them in there, and these were just random ones I picked up at my local thrift store. It worked great. And here's why I loved it, because I put in my main tools there. So I had my needle tool, my burnisher, all that kind of thing. And then I thought, okay, if that works, let's go ahead and try some medicine bottles. And I thought, okay, that would be really cool. You can use those too, no problem. But I found that, you see the weight on that, the glass on the bottom of those things? If I have heavy tools like this, these metal ones, that works great. Wonderful. However, if I take some of those metal tools, and let's say we put them in the pill bottles here, they're just going to tip over on me. So the weight in the bottom of those shot glasses is very important. I also found that I got some of these color shift paints, which I really am looking forward to using on some of my creatures. Works great in this particular organizer, as well as my wonderful little glitters here. So I have all these different glitters, and I use spice bottles. So if I have leftover spice bottles that I used up, that's what I'm using right here, and that works really great in this particular organizer. So I thought, why not fill it up and just enjoy it. Now let's try the clay, and this was really interesting. So I could take 2 bricks of either Sculpey or Primo, put them right together, and it'll fit right in there. Here I found I could take Fimo, and some of that Craft Smart clay works really good too. So you could do that together, and that I could get 3 bricks in, the Fimo with the Craft Smart. I also found if you took 3 bricks of Fimo clay, just that alone, you go 2 bricks of Sculpey and Primo, that's fine. I think it's just they're thicker, but Fimo, you could get 3 of them. Right in there, works great. Kato, the same way, except you have to push Kato down, a little bit thicker. So I was like, that's not a big deal, but there you go. So you can fit the clay in there as well. I really love that. I just have some fresh packs right there. The Craft Smart clay that I use a little bit, yep, that also fits in there. You just arrange it to what you really like and what works for you. Now after that, I went ahead and I thought, okay, we could probably put the Pearl X powders in here too, right? Sure enough, they fit in there beautifully. I mean, there's no gaps or anything. Just like the color shift paints, I was like, wonderful. And these are like, I want to say about 2-inch bottles. You can tell I put my ball tools in there as well in that little, in the shot glass. Works great. So something to think about. Another thing I found was sometimes with those spice bottles, I can sometimes put a resin, or I should say a flexible mold right behind them. So if I want to add in a little bit more, I could. Also, another thing I found is I get my varnish. That worked really great too. And I also found that you could put 2-ounce bottles of acrylic paint in this organizer. And if you're wondering, the color shift bottles, those were actually 4-ounce bottles. So there's definitely some room in this organizer for multiple options. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the 6th level stadium organizer. And this thing is not nearly as deep as the other one. I found that the other one I had a lot of options, but I wasn't sure about this one, so I thought, well, I'll just get one and see how it works. And this particular thing was really made for my alcohol inks. Look at this. They slip right in there, no problem. And I found when I just started filling them all in, you can get 14 of these little bottles all the way across on one level. So 14. I was like, that's pretty nice. I mean, if you're really into alcohol ink and also my Lumiere paints type thing, you can stick those in there as well. Those are tiny little bottles. It works just as good. And so I thought, okay, I have that. I have all these alcohol inks. Let's just fill it in. And sure enough, it just took care of my problem of, any kind of colors I had with my alcohol inks and my paints there. I also found, now this is about a 1-inch depth little organizer. It's one of those fishing tackle boxes, but look at that, it works great, just like the cross stitch box. This is another one of those, or just one of those little organizers, fits upright, you can have it right there, and it's like, pull that out anytime then. I also found I have these little tiny, vials, if you will, or whatever, of beads, a little bit of glitter or whatever. You could put those in there as well. Just remember, this particular organizer is really, it's just not as deep. Right here, the clay, you can only get one brick in. So if you're going to put clay in there, I'd almost say put it in the organizer. The packets, you can, the Craft Smart, that stuff is so thin, it seems like it works great. You could put 2 in, but all the other packets, Kato, Fimo, Primo, Sculpey, whatever, you really only can do 1 packet in each of the little slots there, or side by side. This also worked really good though. I found I liked this particular organizer with the resin molds, or I should say those little flexible molds. Those work great there. You can even get 3 in that, and it's nice and snug. It works great. But there's that. There's also, I found my Sculpey. So they have that liquid clay. Doesn't really work in the smaller one, but if you have like the smaller like varnishes, that will go in there, as well as the Liquitex. The heavy body paints filled in the space there nicely. All right, so I went to my local dollar store and I purchased a few things that I thought would work really great in these tiered organizers. And the first thing I decided to go ahead and use or try out was the spray bottles. Now these bottles were kind of a little big on the bottom, and I thought, this is probably going to work mainly in the four tiered organizer. And right, as you can see right here, that's exactly what I did. I put them in there. The smaller one just didn't fit in there, was too wide, so I used that there. Now these little mini glass containers, now those worked great in the 6th tier organizer. That worked really wonderful. There was a little bit of space there because they are kind of tiny, but they worked great. You could put beads in them, whatever you wanted. And they're only like, about an inch and a half or so tall. They're not that big. So when I put them in there, that worked really great. I tried them in the other one and it worked. You could go too deep on them, and you can even put another set right on top of them, which was great. Another thing I went and bought was an eyedropper bottle. Now, I thought these could be really kind of cool for your inks and stuff. And guess what I found out? Not only, they can work right well in the 4 tier, but it also works well in the 6 tiered organizer. So both ways on those. And then I went and got some of these little storage containers that are circular, and I found that they had 2 different sizes. One was a little larger, and just as I guessed, the other one too is a little bit smaller. The smaller one worked well in the smaller depth organizer. And then the other one that was a little bit larger, it just couldn't quite fit, so you had to put it in the larger 4 tiered organizer. Now, after I figured that one out, I went and I got these little square organizers, and just like I did with the canes in the larger container, this will sit on its side in the 4-tiered organizer. Works great. There's no extra room. It sits in there real nice. No, it's not even snug. It works really good. So if you have extra beads and stuff, you can put it in there. I found also these little tiny bottles, again, in the small tiered organizer. And then this organizer box, which was a rounded box, worked great in the smaller, depth organizer on the 6th tier. It was like, I thought, that is wonderful. I mean, you could have a whole ton of beads in those things and place it right there. You got it. Something nice to use right there. The other thing I found was I went looking for these particular spice bottles, and they worked great. I mean, I know I've talked about spice bottles before, just a little bit ago, but these particular ones really were nice. They were able to hold all of my taller ones, and because I had a whole bunch of them, I was able to put all sorts of different tools in them and let them just sit on that back row. And then I went and got some regular shot glasses. I thought, hey, we got to try this. And I found that the shot glasses, they didn't sit real great. They're narrow on the bottom, but they're a little bigger on top. The nice thing about that is I could put some open beads right in there. So if I'm working on something and I need to have something right in the open, those little shot glasses were great. And then I went and found my liquid Sculpey. Those also worked well in the 4 tier. And then of course I had to add in my wire, and that was just the crowning achievement right there in the little 6-tiered organizer. All right, so here is the way I organized my tiered stadiums. Please use this for reference and study, and if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I would love to hear what you're thinking. And as always, I am sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.